Let's go back in time to relive the good old days of classic television in the 1970s. With wonderful bloopers and goofs that'll bring back all your memories of the 70s action, comedy, and even Saturday morning fun. Have some laughs when actors flood their lines and look at goofs that made it into the actual shows that sometimes reveal what was going on behind the scenes, some of which we only now see thanks to bigger and better TV set screens. Are you ready to get started?
Well, it never hurts to ask.
Let's head back to the 1970s. And in the 1970s, nobody was cooler than the Fonz and the Happy Days gang, even though they technically lived in the 50s and the 60s. Boy, anyway.
Oh, golly gee, Fonz.
Well, I only said one golly gee.
He tried to send Elaine home. No, I did it again. It's Eileen.
Okay, here we go. Take it the same place.
I get so confused with so many.
Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad.
Golly gee, Fonz.
I only said one golly gee.
Hey, he tried to send Elaine home.
That's
I
not
did it again.
The Fonz does not play guessing games while chewing.
You remember the girl with the motorcycle, all dressed in pink? Pinky Putt.
Oh, golly gee, Fonz.
I only said one golly gee. Wait.
Joni, go upstairs and study. Or you can forget about Friday night and Jenny Piccolo's.
On the lawn, right? So I just take a friend of the shiver. So let's get him.
Ship ahoy. I tell you, if I knew I was going to sit out, but...
Well, don't worry, they'll do better next year.
Are you kidding? Last year... Wait, hold it. Where's the line?
Window featuring, in my window rather, featuring all the whatever the heck it is.
Say pickup and action.
Hey, Richard, the Fonz is not...
In my store, isn't that wonderful? You do that again?
Wait till Ronnie gets all the way in. Step in a little more and get her ready.
I hope you folks don't have any plans until later this evening.
I got the line.
Everybody keep your fingers crossed. And action. Oh, this is it. Okay, Jerry. Ready? And action.
Must know it. Oh, I failed. Watch out. Take that.
Hey, Richard, the Fonz does not play guessing games while chewing.
Richie would be right if he knew the next line.
Howard, they could play at the annual Leopard Lodge Fupa Doodle.
Richard, Fonz does not play guessing games.
So we got that line.
Hey, fine.
Pulling down that. Look at that. I'll take it right back. As a matter of fact, I'm putting these gloves on backwards.
Okay, we got this line. Ready? And action.
Hey, Richard, the Fonz does not play guessing games. Hey, Richard, the Fonz does not play guessing games.
We were just discussing how great you all sang.
Oh, thank you very much. We wouldn't have a group without Joni.
Oh, you'll be so successful. Do you have a wedding?
How about early tomorrow morning, first thing?
I'll be there at 6 a.m.
Nah, don't show you up for you.
Let's start over.
almost immediately. Don't move.
For some strange reason in this episode from the new Scooby Doo movies from the 1970s, Fred seems to be disappearing. And this actually made it to the final cut. Do you remember the 70s Saturday morning superhero car Wonderbug? Sometimes during the flying scenes, the gang would turn into dolls. Of course, this weird issue wasn't for Saturday mornings alone. Even Wonder Woman would turn into a doll sometimes when she was in the invisible plane. In the episode Schleppnapped, a man is robbed and it's up to Wonderbug and the gang to get the crook. But to me, the goof here is the surprisingly slow speed that the crook is running. I mean, if you're going to be a crook, or shouldn't you be able to run fast enough to get away? I don't know, maybe this guy was a smoker.
Stop him with the super slippery sliding stuff.
Well, I guess the lesson was that crime doesn't pay, especially if you're a slow runner. In this scene where Wonderbug catches the crooks with his seatbelts, I'm pretty sure the bad guys actually clamped the seatbelts together themselves. Well, this is how they usually spell schlepp. In this pic from the intro, it looks like they left out the C. I wonder, maybe they just couldn't make up their mind quite how to spell it. Monster Squad aired Saturday mornings on NBC from September 11, 1976 to September 3rd, 1977. Monster Squad featured a sort of comedic superhero team of monsters that do good deeds and fight bad guys in order to make up for the misdeeds of their past. The monster heroes included Dracula, Wolfman, and the Frankenstein's monster. According to the show, Walt, a criminology student who was also a night watchman at a wax museum, built a crime computer that somehow brought to life wax statues of the legendary monsters. In the show, the monsters all seem to have the memories of the real monsters, which leads you to believe that somehow they are the real deal that's been brought back to life. Now, the Wolfman called the werewolf in the intro,
"That also, I have a gun.
That won't stop me.
With silver bullets.
That will stop me."
went by the name of Bruce W. Wolf. He was played by Buck Cartalian. Most likely due to copyright reasons, they may have not realized at the beginning of production. The Wolfman's name on his plaque changed several times. It went from Wolfman as one word to Wolfman as two words, and also as just werewolf. The really strange thing is, though, is how that within the same introduction scene, the titles of the monsters change from being painted onto their pedestals to being posted signs.
Come on, you guys, work time.
Oh, and also likely due to copyright reasons, Frankenstein's bolts were on top of his head instead of in his neck. Unfortunately, the president is in town and we'll have to take a quick news break.
Look, he's the ultimate politician, though. He's got his hand up. Wants to shake hands.
You know, there's something familiar about this. Well, they say time repeats itself. The episode Bitter Herbs has a lot of great special effects for a Saturday morning show in the 70s, and it has a few misses and a few goofs. While this scene of Captain Marvel looks cool, there's something about it that just doesn't seem right, like it's breaking all the laws of nature. I mean, shouldn't he be picking up the truck from the middle, not the end like that? And this part of the scene makes me feel like Captain Marvel just went into the land of the lost. Now, did you catch the goof in this shot? So in this shot, of course, Captain Marvel's supposed to still be lifting the truck. You notice that one of his hands is actually empty. Yes, I know what you're thinking, that perhaps in the 70s, with the curvature of the screen of a television set back then, may not have been able to see this. Don't know. Very possible. But definitely see it now. You know, it kind of looks like Captain Marvel's praying for rain or something, doesn't it?
I don't think so.
Everybody loves the challenge of the Super Friends. I mean, that's one of my favorites. But in the episode Rest in Peace, we're supposed to believe that Batman has been killed by the Legion of Doom. Later in this episode, the Super Friends take refuge at a heavily guarded Marine base, where Batman is shown standing with the others, even though we the viewers are supposed to believe Batman's dead at this point, at least until the big reveal at the end.
We destroyed you all! No, you didn't, Luthor.
At one point, Superman is thought to be killed, and his body is brought to the Marine base where Hawkman loses his pants, and Green Lantern is seen without his shirt on. Holy cow, what is going on here? This is a Saturday morning show, and wait, why is it that half the Super Friends don't wear pants anyway? Did the Legion of Doom rob them of half their clothing? But even Brainiac knows he needs some jeans or pants or something.
I just want some pants. A decent pair of pants.
Radios to 30,000 megacycles, and we'll triangulate.
And that's Black Vulcan. He's lost his sleeves from one scene to the next. I think Superman's trying to help him find them.
I've scanned millions of square miles and haven't found a thing.
If you thought the Super Friends goofs were mind-boggling, you ought to check out the goofs that happened when Batman teamed up with Scooby Doo.
See anything?
There were 2 Batman meets Scooby Doo episodes created for the 70s series, The New Scooby Doo Movies. For some reason in both episodes, Batman's neck is exposed in a way that Batman never has been seen before or after that I know of. But in one scene, they actually got it right and colored in Batman's neck. And then sometimes they forgot Robin's insignia.
Amazing, Batman. Absolutely mind-boggling. There must be an explanation.
In one scene, the Mystery Machine's name is backwards. Batman's gloves disappear and reappear a second later.
He's not in the next aisle. See anything?
At this point, you have to wonder if they are messing with us or if this is some sort of test. I'm just not sure.
Those devious devils.
It's like, how many things can you spot that are wrong in this one picture?
See anything?
I mean, first of all, Batman has no glove, which, I mean, I could see they maybe forgot to draw the glove, but then he's got this ring on his finger, which makes no sense. And of course, he has no Batman insignia as well.
Amazing, Batman. Absolutely mind-boggling. There must be an explanation.
Robin, this could be a case of group hypnosis.
Next, we have a mystery that's almost as bad as the time that the Super Friends lost Aquaman in the Hall of Justice.
Shaggy?
Scooby Doo, where are you? Where do you think they could have gone?
Who knows?
I think I just solved this mystery. There's Shaggy, and Scooby must be in the back.
Fred! Daphne! Velma! Wait up!
I don't know about you, but my mind is blown.
There's something fishy about this.
Precisely, Robin.
This isn't the only time they've done this.
Velma's disappeared.
I'm gonna disappear too!
Back here, we've got to find that girl.
Come on, spread out. Let's find her. Come on, spread out. Let's find her.
I sure hope they can find Velma. You know, these are some detectives and mystery solvers. Batman can't even keep track of his pants.
And when those poor, deluded villains arrive, they'll find a reception committee waiting for them. Us.
Well, I know I'd definitely run the other way if I saw those two coming.
Here goes.
Didn't the Penguin just throw his umbrella into the Batman balloon?
Overpowering my muscles, I can't seem to control them.
In the episode Super Friends vs. Super Friends, Aquaman has been captured. Or has he?
It's been over an hour and there's no sign of Aquaman or the diving bell. It's been over an hour and there's no sign of Aquaman or the diving bell.
The signal ring locator should spot him anywhere on Earth.
He's right there, for crying out loud.
Oh, radar screens. There's no sign of it.
Seriously, he's right there.
Aquaman's ring is either malfunctioning or something is trapping its beam.
How could you not see him?
We'll split up and search.
He was standing right next to you.
You two stay here. If you receive any message from Aquaman, contact us immediately.
Of course, they did find Aquaman later, but they lost Batman's original trunks somehow. And Batman got so upset by it that he gained weight and his logo turned into some sort of ink spot. And that's not the last time Batman's logo got out of whack.
Just taken over the SP oil reserves in Saudi Arabia.
We've got to try to stop him. Come on.
What in blazing kryptonite is happening here?
Wait a minute, I can't go in there.
Hey, Stash.
Come on, I'm just a corporal.
You think that lets Hitler bit?
Well, you can do better than that.
I'll have my fango. What's he coming to help you? Like a fango.
I don't know what I'm going to say.
The Trashy Substances Act, sir.
Really? Burns, some men forget their lines. Now what?
Got this man walking into the stream 7 miles down the road, Colonel.
I would have made him. I'll be back. Cut.
It does when you consider that each one of them had a specific... Well, it does when you consider that each one of them had a specific talent to contribute to a major... Go, keep going. Well, it does when you consider that each one of them had a specific talent to contribute to a major...
Thank you, Mr. Spicer. You know, you could lose your license for this.
Let's live dangerously, huh?
Well, Bill, who'd you have the most fun with?
No doubt about it. One lady, a wonderful actress by the name of Jessica Walter. I couldn't look at her but what she'd fall down.
What's he doing?
Right. All right. Then we should have a phony run with your Moni Cub. Then we should have a phony run with your motor cub. Then we should have a phony run with your money car.
If I stay, I go up for life. What's the attraction?
I'll tell you what the attraction is. What is the attraction?
Why did you say that?
I don't know why I say that. Why do I say that? How it works. Does the father resign, or does the quid just kid? Quid just kid.
Dick, now this is a stunt where the actor should have taken a fall, but he forgot.
He's already got parents.
I had to say there wouldn't be problems.
But Jim, his parents are Jim, his parents are desperately trying to find him. They're camped out at the police station right now. The cops just called me and asked if any of us have seen him.
Does this look like a woman out of shape to you?
Put it down.
Lean to your right, Richard.
To my right.
Yeah, just a little. There, good. Okay. And action.
I'm sorry you had to see this too. What happened?
We failed. The lawyer.
She said shit.
In the episode, the Martians are coming, no, not that Martian, but that would have been totally awesome. The goof comes when Jamie Summers is being chased by a UFO. As it gets closer and closer, it gets a little too close and it gets ahead of her, but really it's supposed to still be behind her. It's kind of weird. Keep in mind this thing is actually a helicopter that's in disguise as a UFO. Of course, if it actually got in front of her, it'd be much larger on the screen. But then she picks up a rock and throws it at it. At first it looks normal. Notice as the rock turns in the air like a rock would if you actually threw it in the air. Then right before it hits the UFO/helicopter, it just looks like a picture of a rock that's moving across the screen. Not rotating or anything like a rock would normally do. In the third season episode Deadly Music, the Bionic Woman has a underwater adventure.
And look over here. I found one of the markers.
I'll go get the steel rods.
I hate to say it, but I don't think it's humanly possible to talk that clear underwater with a tube in your mouth. I think it'd have to be a full face mask in order for them to be able to communicate as effectively as they are in this situation.
Roger, Temple. We read you loud and clear.
A little later in the episode, Jamie gets attacked by a shark. But how did the yellow rope get on the shark's tail like that? It wasn't on there a second ago. While the Bionic Woman never dealt with time travel per se, in this scene from the episode Long Live the King, there seems to be some kind of wonky time jump involving Oscar. Notice he's putting his gun into his holster in this part of the scene. Then he walks over to Jamie, and for some reason, he's putting his gun into his holster again, as if he had never done it. The second season episode, The Night Demon, has a sort of a Scooby Doo vibe going on, as Jamie discovers an empty monster costume she later wears herself to scare the same crooks that were using it before in earlier scenes. Keep in mind, Jamie herself wears this costume later, so we know it's empty right now, or it's supposed to be. But if you look carefully, you can see the creature's eyes are actually moving. Now that's spooky.
Somebody's playing games.
In the episode Jamie's Shield, the Bionic Woman is in pursuit of criminal types when the police cause her to wreck the truck she's driving. The weird thing is, the truck is on fire, and there's a dude standing behind the truck like it's no big deal. See him on the very right in sort of a bluish shirt. I sure hope he got out of there. Now let's go back a little farther to the 6 Million Dollar Man Bionic Woman Part 2 episode. In this one you'll notice that the 6 Million Dollar Man and Bionic Woman are jumping over a fence, but there's a ladder over to the left, or your left, which they use to jump over with. And that's according to commentary from Kenneth Johnson, the writer of this episode. In the episode Welcome Home, Jamie, the Bionic Woman tears a phone book in two in order to scare her class into behaving. I honestly never thought of this as a kid, but I don't really think it would be possible considering Jamie only has one super strong bionic arm. Now Superman I could believe. As you'll recall, George Reeves did this trick years before in the 1950s. The Bionic Woman and the 6 Million Dollar Man may have also borrowed another trick, and that is reversing the film from a leap down to make it appear the hero is leaping up to greater heights. On this trick, they give Lindsay a can lid covered over with tinfoil to enable her to cut it with her thumbnail. Sure, I know you probably wouldn't have noticed this on an old TV, but it's interesting at least to figure out how they did things. In the same episode, when Steve and Jamie are on the phone, you hear the sound of them hanging up, but neither one of them has yet.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Now watch what happens to this signpost when Jamie pulls it out of the ground and uses it as a weapon. It seems to change constantly. The sign on the pole disappears, and then it comes back again. In the episode Jamie's Mother, Oscar seems to be a bit confused.
Hello.
Jamie, I've been trying to reach you. Where are you?
Now Oscar, shouldn't you know where she's at since you're the one that called her?
I'm here to make a point. I feel wet and miserable, like your baby feels in wet diapers. But here's driving. No. Oh, no, you don't. I'm here to make a point. I'm sitting in this seat to remind you that sitting around in wet pants feels miserable. And that's how your baby feels in wet diapers. Miserable. His pants get wet again and again, and then he has to sit around in them. But now, there's new driving.
He did this for 3 days.
I'm here to catch pneumonia.
The 6 Million Dollar Man was one of the greatest shows of all time, and one of my favorites growing up, but even a perfect show has its technical goofs, small they may be. Sometimes they're actually kind of funny when you think about them. You take this first goof, Steve Austin has just been in a plane crash in the desert. His eyes have been temporarily blinded, even his bionic eye. In this scene, Austin is asking a passenger if he's seen any air rescue. Of course, the script says no, at this point. It's too early in the show for a rescue. But yet, if you look really carefully, you'll notice the senator either needs glasses or this is a goof, because thanks to high-def video, we can see a plane flying in the background at the exact moment the senator claims there are no planes in the air.
Any sign of air rescue?
No, at least not yet.
Well, you want to give it to me straight?
In the episode Act of Piracy, Steve Austin jumps into the water, clearly wearing green socks. But in the water, it appears he's wearing flippers. Now, where in the world did he get those? But then when he gets out of the water, he's completely barefoot. Okay, he could have took his socks off in the water. I get that, but still. In the same episode, the bad guys take off in a boat, and there's only 4 of them. But just a few seconds later, they get another passenger from somewhere. I don't know where. In the episode Stranger in Broken Fork, Steve Austin jumps from a moving truck, but who lands is definitely a stuntman, and definitely not Lee Majors, even though he played a stuntman in his next series, The Fall Guy. In the Season 3 episode, The Return of the Bionic Woman Part 2, Steve has nothing with him when he first starts running towards the bad guy's compound, where the Bionic Woman is already. Yet, as he gets near the plant, suddenly he's wearing a side pack, and his shoes have changed from dark to white. I wonder if that had anything to do with the tendency back then to reuse stock footage. I mean, I know they used to have stars wear the same clothing over and over again so they could reuse old shots. Think of Bonanza or Gilligan's Island. In Season 3's The Deadly Test, there's this really cool scene where the 6-man man throws a rocket at a van with a bad guy in it. But if you look really closely, you can see that the rocket is actually on a visible wire as it heads towards the van before it explodes. In Season 3's The Secret of Bigfoot Part 1, if you look really closely, you can see crew members hanging out on the side. Now, in this scene, this is where the 6-man man has chased Bigfoot, he's went into the mountain, he passes out, and the aliens are wheeling him in this gurney. Just keep a close eye on the gurney, on the reflections, and you'll see the crew members staring back at you. In Season 4's Death Probe Part 1, the probe attacks a farmer. The farmer shoots at the probe and then does what people always do in old movies when they run out of bullets. They throw the gun at the monster or Superman or whoever it is instead of reloading it. The probe grabs the shotgun and then starts to turn it. It's then we see what looks to be a gloved hand helping the probe's arm turn. Look at the bottom right and we'll slow it down so you can see it a little bit clearer. See if you can spot this goof from Season 4's episode Danny's Inferno. Austin jumps off a tall building that is under construction with a teenager on his back, as he's in a big hurry to get away from the bad guys and stop a bomb from blowing up a dam. Did you spot the goof? Let's slow it down just a little bit more. Notice that the kid's legs on Austin's back have shrunk dramatically. It's obvious that the kid has turned into a dummy. You know, the stuffed plastic kind. There's lots more classic TV goofs to come.
Now, here's Lindsay Wagner with a lapse of bionic memory.
Right, I'll hold.
I just talked with Colonel Austin, and we demand that you give us a chance to save Kurt Oscar.
This happens to be a security matter, Miss Summers. Now, don't cause another problem.
Problem? Cock-a-doodle.
Cock-a-doodle.
You know, I've been practicing those exercises that you gave me, and it made me feel a lot more relaxed and kind of in touch with myself. It's nice. That was no accident, and neither is this. It's all part of his plan to make some kind of a rendezvous.
On the Wonder Woman episode Screaming Javelins, which guest stars Rick Springfield and Henry Gibson as the villain, Gibson is seen skydiving at the very beginning of the episode.
Beautiful as ever. What was it General MacArthur said?
Did you notice anything off?
I have returned.
Have you noticed anything different now?
My old friend Diana Prince.
We see what they did is they mixed in footage of someone really skydiving and a studio shot of Gibson, but they forgot to give him a mask like the skydiver was wearing in the real footage. Looks like Gibson is taking his mask off and on to give his diabolical monologue.
What was it General MacArthur said?
Now, on the original Wonder Woman Goofs video that I've done, I posted this already, but I forgot one really important thing to mention, and that's that Gibson wasn't wearing a parachute. I was worrying about the mask and forgot all about the fact that he didn't have a parachute on. Now, that's a goof. Now, I bet you're wondering what in the world could have been wrong with this transformation scene from the same episode. Well, every now and again, when Diana Prince does her transformation into Wonder Woman, things in the background appear and then they disappear. In this case, it was the trash can. Kind of makes you wonder if her transformation somehow destroys things that are in the vicinity. I don't really think of this as a goof, it's just something interesting that I read. When Wonder Woman leaps up through a window several stories up, there's a mattress there for her to land on. I mention this not because it's what I call a mistake, it's not really noticeable, but it's interesting to see how they did things back then. You know, in case you want to leap up several stories in the air through a window, you really should consider having a mattress on the floor to soften your landing. Once in the building, Wonder Woman throws two bad guys down the hall. Well, one is a bad woman, but still the point is they both go flying and land out of our view. But just for a second, you can see the mattress they land on stick out into view. You know, being a stuntman would have been fun back then, except for the jumping off tall buildings. I wouldn't have liked that. But that would have been a little too much for me. But the play fighting and landing on mattresses and stuff, that would have been a lot of fun. Now check this out. If you keep your eye on the shadow when the guy is thrown across the hall and lands, you can see the shadow of the mattress give in as he's landing on it. It's pretty cool.
Arrange for full cooperation from British intelligence. Goodbye. Cut.
Next in the episode Knockout, Diana Prince changes clothes before she turns into Wonder Woman, without actually changing clothes. Notice when Lynda Carter's stunt double jumps out of the car, she's wearing a purple dress. But when they show Diana Prince transforming into Wonder Woman, she's wearing blue jeans. I guess they hoped we wouldn't notice.
Up yours.
Well, that wasn't very nice.
The Incredible Hulk, starring Bill Bixby.
When it crashed through the door, your left arm got... It's half healed.
I know. It's one of the characteristics of a metamorphosis, of my metamorphoses. I've seen other metamorphoses. Saw a guy turn into a banana once.
Now, Bill Bixby was such a great actor, but in this next scene, he's supposed to be really serious, but he flubs up one word, and it messes up everything.
Stop it. Jack is a good man.
He's also an egg beater, and that makes him very dangerous.
Okay, in the episode Life and Death, in this scene, we see the Hulk jumping down an elevator shaft. According to my research, this is a stuntman instead of Lou Ferrigno, but that's not the reason I think this could be considered a goof or a blooper. It's just the way he's jumping down the elevator shaft. It's almost like he's disco dancing the boogie woogie or something. In the second TV movie, the Incredible Hulk faces a bear. Unfortunately, he loses half of his skin, or his skin color, onto the bear. I bet you didn't know that the Incredible Hulk sometimes wears green tights in order to keep his feet warm. Now, in the first season episode, Terror in Times Square, if you look closely, you'll notice that Lou Ferrigno is wearing green sneakers. which of course you can't blame him from wearing shoes while running down the dirty streets of 1970s New York. Now, the only really big goof I can't forgive with this episode is the fact they missed a golden opportunity to have the Hulk meet Spider-Man, who was at least supposed to be in New York City on screen. In actuality, they filmed most of that series in LA. But still, it fit the Hulk's location in the story and could have been the very first major Marvel superhero team-up on screen. In this scene from this episode, safety wires are visible as the Hulk pulls up two puny humans. In the pilot episode, the Hulk attempts to save a little girl from drowning, who clearly is actually a grown stunt woman. Being a big Cobra Kai and Rocky fan, I couldn't pass this one up, even if it is a little bit small. In the first season episode, Final Round, the great Martin Kove guest stars. You know him as the big bad guy from the Cobra Kai series and the Karate Kid movies, John Kreese. Of all things, Kove plays a boxer named Rocky, not to be confused with Stallone's Rocky. By the way, Kove also starred with Stallone in the second Rambo movie. Now, the goof occurs when Rocky is thrown against what is supposed to be a brick wall that gives in like, a wall built for a stage. The really interesting thing about this episode, of course, is that Kove actually plays a good guy. I guess I'll just leave that in. It's the blooper on a video about bloopers. Yeah.
Thank you, Victor. Low cost. Just go to eat. I guess we'll go back to doing what I do best. Show off.
When do we get started?
When do we get started?
That's my line.
When do we get started?
That's my line. You say whenever you like.
Whenever you like. That's all right, keep it running. This is good stuff.
Yeah, I like this.
I'm ready. I swear to God, I'm ready. We're off.
Like every other kid that grew up in the 70s and 80s, the Dukes of Hazzard was one of my favorite shows. Okay, in the very first episode, Cooter steals a police car and is being chased by the Dukes, but as he drives by, it is a police officer in the car, and you can tell by the star that's on his shoulder. Now, they didn't really reveal the fact that it was Cooter until Cooter wrecks the car. Now, this next scene could have been meant for a new Twilight Zone revival, because either the Dukes drove so fast they went back in time and passed themselves, or they went into a parallel dimension, or maybe the crew just left an extra General Lee lying around. In the second season episode, The Ghost of General Lee, Roscoe thinks the Dukes drowned along with the General, so the Dukes pretend to be ghosts and ram Roscoe's patrol car. Now notice the General looks to have sustained some damage, even to the point of the hood popping open. But then in the next scene, the General pulls away without a scratch. Of course, I've always suspected the General was able to heal itself. Of course, we know that in real life, every time the General jumped, the Dodge Charger that played the General was dead. Even though, as far as we saw, the Dukes just drove on like nothing ever happened. And you wonder why 69 Dodge Chargers are so hard to find these days. The next explosive goof occurs on the episode The Runaway. Now this is the episode where the Duke boys run Daisy's Roadrunner right off a cliff. Now I always like that car better than the Jeep. Now as you can see, the Dukes are clearly alone in the car, which looks to be in the studio. Oh, before I continue on this one, quite a few of you all pointed out the last time I posted this on the Duke's Goose video that it looks like someone left a drinking cup on Daisy's hood towards the far right on the bottom. So I guess we should believe the Dukes were really driving real slow, or they superglued that cup to the hood. Now I always wondered, why do they ever shoot those outdoor scenes indoors on these TV shows? Well anyways, just as the Duke boys jump out of the vehicle, suddenly a mysterious figure pops out of nowhere. I sure hope he was a stuntman and knew what he was doing, because, you know, that car just goes right off the cliff and into a big fiery explosion. This next scene is what I would call sort of a narrative goof, I guess, because it just doesn't make sense. Okay, so Spider-Man climbs down the building to save this guy who's about to fall out the window, and instead of pushing the guy back inside the building through the window, for some reason he grabs the guy and climbs back up to the top of the building and sets the dude on top of the building, which kind of doesn't, I mean, it really doesn't make sense. I mean, why would you do that unless it just looked better on film, they thought. About the second episode, Spider-Man starts wearing his utility belt and his web shooter's on the outside for some reason. I don't know why, but he does. I actually liked it better in the pilot when he had the more traditional looking Spider-Man costume. But it's kind of interesting because there's a lot of times when he's walking across the roof, when he'll have his utility belt on, I'll have the web shooter on, you can clearly see it, and then all of a sudden it's gone because they used the clip from the pilot, and it's back on again. As I said, their practical effects were really great back then. But some things, like I guess green screens, weren't so great. Like you take this scene here where Spider-Man jumps out the helicopter. It looks good, especially when they're showing an actual stuntman and stuff. But this one part where he looks like he's just sort of, I don't know, laying flat on a table, it's evidently a green screen effect. It really kind of stands out. This next series was in itself a goof. The whole thing.
Come on, Robin, to the Batmobile!
The Legends of the Superheroes could have been fine as a Saturday morning series. I mean, as a kid, I thought it was super neat. But as a potential primetime series, it was the cheapest thing ever broadcast. Maybe it was intended as a couple of specials, I guess. I don't know. I'm not sure, but I do know Adam West regretted being involved. For nostalgia purposes, it's fun, but boy, is it goofy. The only thing it really has going for it is Adam West and Burt Ward. They didn't even get the original Captain Marvel from the Shazam series, either one of them. They did get Frank Gorshin as the Riddler, which was cool, but boy, was this show cheap looking. The Saturday morning Shazam series was way ahead of it in quality, and this was prime time. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the bell for future notifications. Like, comment, let me know what you thought about the video. What can I do to make videos better in the future? Y'all have a great day.